Boom, what's up Waves Capital? It's Royce Jacob, and welcome back to the channel. In this quick video, we are going to be talking about the absolute falling knife that is Tesla. This stock is headed for its worst month, quarter, and year on record, as you can see in front of us. So we will be briefly discussing a few reasons why there's been so much sell pressure on this stock. But ultimately, I want the primary focus of this video to be the technicals. Okay, so we are going to spend some time on the charts. I want to talk to you about why I personally believe that it's inevitable, so almost 100% guaranteed, that this stock experiences a significant bounce over the next week or two, definitely as we enter the new year, with January 6th being my initial bounce target. So I will elaborate and rationalize this bounce target for you. And of course, always know, if I'm telling you guys all this stuff, my money is where my mouth is. And currently, I do have a pretty meaningful call position open for Tesla stock for January 20th. Okay, so just want to preface the video by saying that. All right. Also, before we get into it, as you guys know, I have never been one to shy away from, kind of downing on Tesla stock. I have made multiple videos on in the past talking about why I believe Tesla is overvalued and why the valuation is a little high, why the PE ratio, price to earnings ratio, is unfit for this environment. But right now, this stock has gotten so smoked over the past few months. In the past 3 months alone, this stock is down almost 65%, and of course 42% in the month of December alone. So there has been correcting at these levels. Honestly, from a longer term perspective, I would not shy away from buying Tesla stock. I'm not personally doing that right now. I am just trading it in the shorter term. But yeah, even me, as a pretty historical Tesla bear who has mostly shorted Tesla, even right now, once again, I have call options on Tesla. I do think that this thing is due for a bounce, because the technicals are just so incredibly oversold. Okay, so we will spend most of the video discussing that. But quickly, let's kick it off by reading this CNBC article titled "Tesla stock, once again, is headed for its worst month, quarter, and year on record." So we'll just go over some key points, take a look at poor Elon, and read these two right here. And that will be the entirety of kind of just catching up on what's been happening, okay? And I do also want to reference a video that I will be recording and posting probably tomorrow as well, because this heavily plays into what's happening with Tesla, and it's the January effect, which primarily is caused by tax loss harvesting, okay, which is where investors sell their losing positions in order to offset any income that they've generated in the prior year. In this case, obviously being 2022, okay? So key points: Tesla shares dropping at 9% right now, 9.7% on Tuesday, and are now down 42% in December. Investors are bailing on stocks and on the stock as challenges mount for Tesla abroad and at home, and as Elon Musk continues to spend an outsized amount of time at Twitter. Multiple outlets reported fresh challenges for Tesla production in mainland China as the automaker struggles to attract buyers in China and in North America. Okay, so yeah, Twitter's going to be stagnant because it is no longer a public company, but Tesla down nearly 10% as we read through this. That is insane. Tesla's sell-off intensified on Tuesday, with the stock dropping another 8%, again 10% at the time of reading. Elon Musk's electric car company, that might trigger some Tesla long-term fanboys. It's more than a car company, but you guys, the reality, that's always been one of my bigger gripes with Tesla, and kind of individuals who have challenged me on the valuation, saying that it can be, where we were a few months ago was fair value if you look out 5, 10, 50 years, which may be 50 years, but definitely not 5 to 10. Even though Tesla, again, is an energy company, they are an AI company, they are a data company. Right now, the way they make money and generate revenue is off their cars. So that's the reality of the situation. You can look as far ahead as you want and do your best in your own head to justify certain market caps and certain PE ratios, but the reality is right now they generate revenue off cars, and that is a big reason. Primarily, I guess, more and more investors realizing this is the primary reason that the stock is getting so hammered, along with, once again, the January effect, which I will read over, do a full deep dive on the January effect and why I actually think this will come heavily into play as we enter the new year. But anyway, The latest drop comes after a Wall Street Journal reported that Tesla will continue a week-long production halt at its Shanghai facility, facing a fresh onslaught of COVID cases within its Chinese workforce. Okay, so again, Tesla obviously seeing a lack in demand. There are issues, as we just read, overseas with production. But a big thing, you guys, is optics. And once again, the overbought nature that has been Tesla, the overbought nature of Tesla over the past year. I mean, we can zoom out. I will zoom back in. You know, we'll kick it off with the daily candles because I do want to touch on the daily candles as well. I'll go a little more macro, a little more long term before we dive into the short term and talk to you guys about my bounce targets. But Tesla, when you see how far Tesla went, so let's just get a price range right here. So boom, price range from the February 2020 high, which was still crazy. If you go back to November of 2019 to February of 2020, just a few months, Tesla almost 3x'd in that span of time. Just in a few months, Tesla already saw a crazy bull market, or a bull rally, I'm sorry, to kind of initiate that major bull market, that hype cycle, that manic bull market that honestly we are now recovering from. That now, again, this is the hangover, you guys. This is the hangover after the party. Tesla, just dating back to the February 2020 high. We won't even talk about the rally prior to that, but dating back to February 21st of 2020, prior to, of course, the lockdowns hitting, the black swan that was COVID striking, stock seeing a low of 25 bucks. But again, that February 2020 high, 63 bucks, 65 bucks. From there to the all-time high that we saw in November of last year, just over a year ago, Tesla was up over 540%. Now, Tesla has made a staggering amount of progress. And again, maybe one day the stock will see, I don't know about share prices because you have to factor in stock splits and whatnot. I don't know if we ever see a $400 share price again, but I do think that Tesla can match that market cap. I can't remember what it was off the top of my head right now, but Tesla maybe one day will reclaim those all-time high market caps. But again, you guys, it doesn't make any sense from a fair value perspective, from a historical valuation perspective, or just, I mean, it doesn't make any reasonable sense, I should say, in this macro environment with raising interest rates and capital just kind of melting, especially hitting kind of higher ticket consumers as well, which is once again just a general demand issue for Tesla. When you look at luxury, like luxury sales or higher ticket sales that target the mid to high tier consumer, and this is a big issue I have with Apple as well, and why personally I'm shorting Apple right now too. Shorting Apple, long Tesla for full transparency, okay? Again, you guys, the high ticket consumer, the high ticket individual has lost so much wealth, so much demand. Not so much demand. I mean, I guess demand has been destroyed as well, but that's the byproduct of individuals who were involved in the markets, who tend to have, you know, investments and are compounding their wealth. They're going to be the ones that are spending on these higher ticket items. They're the ones that have that expendable capital to kind of splurge on things like this. And that's why we're seeing that lack in demand, because the higher ticket consumer has taken such a crack in the face over the past 12 months now, I guess. So again, this is the hangover after the party. Tesla stock from those 2020 highs is now up only, you know, 70%, which is still pretty insane, again, especially considering if we go back to even like, let's go to December, like, oh, dang it. I didn't mean to do that. Let's grab this guy right there. Let's go back to, again, just December of 2019, okay, to pretty much where we are now. Like, go back 3 years, all right? Tesla stock is still up 270% from where it was 3 years ago. So although, again, Tesla has made a crazy amount of progress over the past few years, it's just difficult to justify, again, the valuation prospects. And valuation, especially over the past few years, has become so vague that it's difficult to say what fair value truly is, because it's really in the eye of the beholder. But ultimately, Tesla is being punished for, again, that crazy overvaluation, the crazy, 1,300% in the span of 3 years, in the span of less than 3 years, actually, in the span of like 2 years at this point. So this is what a bubble looks like, you guys. This is what the pop looks like. And unfortunately, the pop comes with some pain, because many investors have, have lost once again in the past 3 months from that little bounce from that local high that we saw back in September, mid-September. In the span of just a few months, Tesla investors, not even call options. This is like almost some call option action, but Tesla investors, if you're just holding common shares in Tesla, have lost nearly 65% of their invested capital, which is absolute. It's sad and it's insane, especially coming in the holidays, but that's the reality of investing, you know, in a market that was experiencing some manic price action. Okay, so I do want to say that on top of some other indicators, we're going to look at RSI right now because this is pretty insane. I do think that one of the big reasons Tesla does see a bounce is because we are finally reverting to the mean. And this is something that if you guys have watched my channel before or been part of Waves Capital for a while, you would be well aware of this concept, reversion to the mean. When you see these bull market cycles, when you see these manic rallies, these crazy parabolic cycles. And this was a long-term one. It's crazy how long this went on. But again, that's what happens when you just inject liquidity into the ecosystem, and the Fed gives helicopter money to everyone and literally everyone and their moms and grandmas, everybody. But again, this is just what happens. But anyway, reversion to the mean. Once that bubble pops, in my mind, I consider the reversion to the mean to officially be the initial high of the current rally. Okay, so when you look at Tesla, you could kind of consider the February 2020 high prior to that big correction, the prior high of the overall bull market cycle. But in my mind, although we are currently this is pretty fair too. You could say that this is almost like disregarding this single day. We get a few daily candle wicks over here back in July of 2020. So I would actually consider this to be that initial parabolic high of the current bull market cycle, which is once again right around here, around $110. Okay, $110, the high being $120. Okay, so I do think that there is some historical support around here in the floor that is created by the prior ceiling, that prior ceiling being that reversion to the mean level, at least in my eyes, which is once again the initial high of the current bull market cycle. Okay, so again, that is a prior floor will come into play. A prior ceiling will come into play as a new floor that is right around here, once again around $115 where we're floating right now. And on top of that, you guys, what really made me establish a position in Tesla is the fact that, let's move my fat head quick, is the fact that as you can see here, the RSI, this is the relative strength index. Personally, I've tried pretty much every single technical indicator over the course of my decade-long career. I was doing moving averages for a while. I know there's probably a lot of you who wonder why I don't do like 50-day MAs and 200-day MAs. It's because trend lines honestly just work better. The stick figure trend lines, although many people may roast them, they're more effective, and I found them to be more accurate and more tradable. I should say more consistently tradable. More tradable with a consistency of success. I'll go with that. You guys know what I'm saying. But again, stick figure trend lines are better than moving averages in my opinion. But anyway, you guys, RSI and stochastic RSI, pretty much the two key indicators from kind of a under the surface perspective that I trade on personally. RSI, relative strength index, is down at a level of 16.5 and 16.55 to be specific. This is a level, if we zoom out, that we have literally never seen in Tesla. Okay, in all of Tesla's years, at least as far back, where am I right now? In 2017, we'll go that far back. You know, dating back 5-6 years at this point, we have never seen this level tested on the daily RSI. Okay, we're at 16. This is extremely, extremely oversold. And again, Tesla, when you see how volatile this thing's been, even back in, again, that COVID crash, Tesla was at a 23, 24 during the COVID Black Swan crash. Right now, we are at a 16.5. That is insane, okay? So that's the daily. From a daily perspective, a bounce is extremely, extremely likely. Let's go to the 4-hour, and I'll talk to you guys about this January 6th target. So again, very, very oversold on the daily, but even the 4-hour is even lower. This is insane. We can zoom out here as well. So the 4-hour is currently sitting at, we'll call that a 13. Okay, RSI is at 13 right now. All right, and if we zoom out, I don't know if we've ever seen this as well on the 4-hour. So last time we saw even levels close to this was back in June of 2019. So we're not going to go out that far. Last time we saw the mid-teens was back in 2019. Again, even when you go back to COVID, we got to about 17. But right now we are floating around a 12, 13 level, and these are just unprecedented levels that even in the craziest kind of like most bubble poppy manic plays, you rarely see these levels of rarely see these levels tested on the relative strength index on pretty much any time frame. Okay, so this is insane, you guys. I do think Tesla bounces. I do think that we do, upon a bounce, come up to test the line of resistance on the downtrend. Again, these stick figures may seem ridiculous to some of you who haven't been playing the game for a while, but I can almost guarantee that at some point over the next week or two, we do test this trend line. My target is January 6th, which is next Friday, the first Friday of January 2023. Let's just say we hit it January. What's that next? It's January 13th would be the following Friday. So even if we test this by January 13th, I do think it's inevitable. Again, you guys can hold me to this, that we do test this trend line over the next 2 weeks from now, or by, once again, January 13th, a little more than 2 weeks, 2-3 weeks from now. I do think that this is tested. In the case that we do test it on January 13th, Friday, January 13th, that would take us to about 148.50. But once again, I think that when you see volatility like this, right, you guys, the harder you fall, the harder you bounce. That's physics in reality. That's physics in the real world, and that is, that is mirrored into the markets to some extent. Okay, so I do think that we see a bounce. We've fallen so hard. I do think that we see a bounce. We also need to retest the prior low, this orange line right here, from the stair-step progression that we've seen down over the past few months. Again, lower highs, lower lows, each creating a new floor and a new ceiling. The previous floor over here around, let's move my head again, I didn't even move myself back. That explains it. So the previous floor around here, again, is 165. I do think that'll come into play as a new ceiling. Say these intersect. Say we see a crazy bounce. Say Elon assigns a new CEO to Twitter, which is also possible. If these intersect, that would mean that by December 29th, which isn't very likely, which is what, this Thursday? Or this Thursday, and 2 days from now. Not very likely we would see a $165. It's possible, but again, very unlikely. But again, can we see it by January 6th? Can we see this tested by January 13th? Absolutely. And I do think Tesla will make its way back up to 150. I'll just say 150 to play it safe over the coming week or two. Okay. And once again, you guys always know my money is where my mouth is. If you do want to know how I'm not only trading Tesla, I mentioned my Tesla calls, I mentioned my Apple puts. I have, I think, at least 20 call options positions open right now in the portfolio, 15 to 20, I should say. 15 to 20 call options positions open in the portfolio. Of course, we trade small caps, growth stocks over here. I'm looking for home run plays. And although I can't guarantee them, that is how I've built the far majority of the fortune I have today. And that is how I will continue to do it as we head into the new year of 2023. So if you guys want to trade along with me, if you guys want my daily newsletters, if you want to know why I'm trading, what I'm trading, why I'm doing what I'm doing, me rationalizing my thoughts and actions to you guys on a daily basis during market hours, that's the first link in the description box down below. Complete portfolio and daily newsletter. 15 bucks a month, 40 bucks for every 3 months. You can try it free for 7 days into the new year. And if you don't like it, you can always just unsubscribe. It's that easy. But I trust you guys will be sticking around, and I look forward to seeing you guys in Waves Capital. Okay, so let me know what you guys thought of this. Let me know if you are long or short Tesla on a short-term time horizon. And of course, let me know why. Okay, so I appreciate your guys' insights. Once again, if you want to join Waves Cap for real, that's the first link in the description box down below. It's greatly appreciated. And Happy New Year's, you guys. Until next time, always remember, take action, make waves. Peace.